How old's your kid now?
He's 25.
Yeah.
3 kids of his own.
No way.
Yep.
So you're a grandpa?
I'm a grandpa.
Oh, you got to start a band now called Fat Gramps.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I'm James McMahon and reside in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I'm a musician and educator. Yeah, so my first car was a 1986 Pontiac Parisienne Station Wagon, known as the Safari Wagon. And it had the classic wood sides on it.
Yeah, I was looking this up. That looks dope.
Yeah, the the back door opens up and rear facing seat in the back.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, I remember sitting in one of those.
Yeah,
that was looking out the back window at the other drivers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was actually our family vehicle that then I inherited. Once I was able to drive. That was my my
was
car.
that cool or not? Because you were already familiar with this car.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, it was definitely kind of a novelty vehicle, but I didn't mind. It was something to get me around. So
yeah, you do sound like Steve-O.
Do I?
Yeah.
People have said that, and especially like, I don't know if I've use my voice more. If my voice is a little tired, then
you were doing a show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Playing some music the other night for a birthday party celebration for. Actually, she's a relative of mine, a cousin of my mom's.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, she was her 60th birthday. So we went and played some music for a couple hours.
Give me a yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Totally.
What does William Refrigerator Perry think of the Pontiac Parisienne?
I like the headroom.
A car big enough to carry 6 linebackers.
That's one more than I can.
The Bears won, so you can too. At your Chicagolands and Northwestern Indiana Pontiac dealers, buy a new Parisienne, get air conditioning at no extra charge. Plus, get $720 cash back.
The Pontiac Parisienne, the car the refrigerator likes because it's like the refrigerator.
Yeah, you open the door, the light goes on.
Result.
Yeah, so I guess, that vehicle had been through a lot, In fact, that car's been all the way to Bismarck before I ever knew I would live here, because my mom has family out here. My mom and dad actually both have family in they're from North Dakota. So my mom grew up in Dickinson, and she's got family that had lived in Bismarck, and so we'd come out for family reunions. And I remember specifically taking that vehicle with the whole family, and the back seats would lay down flat, and so there was 4 boys in my family. I was the oldest of 4, and we'd lay that seat all the way down, and we'd just like tangle up and like rough house in the back. And
Nobody's buckled in.
Nobody's buckled in.
Rough housing.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yep. And
were you sleeping back there?
Yeah, we'd sleep, and
yeah.
It's just kind of crazy going down the road. Yeah, the times are different now, obviously, with
sure
buckling in, and then having that vehicle through high school, that was, I'd leave my keys in the car. I'd leave it out in the high school parking lot, and people would take it. And one specific time I went out to my vehicle, and the tire's flat, and it was in a slightly different spot than I had parked it, and so I figured out one of my a person that I wasn't even really that good friends with. He heard that I would leave my keys in my car, and he went and took it and rallied it. He rallied the thing and blew a tire out, and so anyway, that was one of those deals where
you're pretty trusting though.
Yeah, I was a little over trusting, and then so that was the end of that.
Oh yeah.
Another time, a buddy of mine, he's kind of a rowdy friend of mine that decided to take a golf club to the rear to the tail light and busted it out.
What?
Yeah.
What for?
He was just being a jerk, I guess.
Just being a jerk. Yeah.
So busted it out, and so then I did the old, classic tape job on there.
Oh yeah, the red tape.
Yeah, the red tape, and so then ended up getting pulled over plenty of times for having that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was legal.
It is, but it's just like, well, you're tail
Any
not
reason
matching.
to pull a kid over, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so about my 9th grade year, a couple buddies and I, we wanted to start a band. And I initially started, so I was a, trumpet player, playing in band and jazz band and stuff. But I we wanted to start a band, so I started playing bass. And we started a band called Speakeasy. And that was a really cool time. We played all through high school, and we had a horn section. We were kind of like a ska reggae sort of. We played some funk music. We wrote quite a bit with the group, and it was really cool.
Dang, 9th grade?
Yeah, 9th grade.
Nice.
We started that, and then by the time we were probably going into our junior year, we were playing a bunch around and playing different shows. There's a huge punk scene in town. We had a bunch of friends that were punk rockers, and
Fuck yeah.
it was awesome. And we'd all supported each other. We'd always go to the punk shows. They'd come to our stuff, and it was a really cool scene. This was in Twin Falls, Idaho, and so just have so many memories of that of those times. And yeah, and my buddy had he was a well-to-do family. His dad. They built a house, and they had an upstairs that was like our rehearsal space.
Oh, cool.
We had stuff set up there, so we'd rehearse once or twice a week, and just had the time to do that. And it was really a really cool thing. Yeah, we were called Speakeasy.
Did you guys ever record?
We did. We recorded.
Okay.
We recorded one little self-titled album, available on cassette somewhere.
Yeah,
you
nice.
know.
You didn't save it, huh?
No, I mean, I might have. I think I do have it somewhere. But I still, to this day, I remember a couple of the songs that we recorded, original music and stuff.
My first band never recorded.
Yeah.
It kind of broke my heart afterwards. Some of those songs that we wrote are just gone. Mm-hmm. Glad you did, though.
Yeah. Yep. It was neat experience. We recorded in that guy's house, in my buddy's house. And did vocal.
4-track?
No, see, I don't know how it wasn't 4-track. I'm not exactly sure, but I do remember doing the vocals in the bathroom.
Nice.
And then we had different rooms set up where we recorded just to, for acoustic.
We did that one time where our singer was recording in the bathroom, and then she's like, "All right, I need you guys to turn it off because I got to go to the bathroom here."
Yeah.
So we turned it off. We didn't want to sit there and listen.
Yeah. So that was a good time. And then, during that same era, I was, focusing on trumpet playing, studying classical and jazz trumpet, and really pursuing that instrument and just trying to work on that. I was doing a bunch of private lessons and taking jazz theory lessons with a guy at the local, it's a junior College of Southern Idaho. And the gentleman there, he was my mentor, and just taught me so much about, basically music theory and how to navigate chord changes. And so that really opened up my world as to write music too,
Yeah.
because you're just understanding how chords work and
Right.
how that works. It just opened up a whole realm.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And that was so huge in my musical, I guess, development, or those years of having those jazz theory experiences.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, at a young age, so ahead of the game, too.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm guessing you started in 5th grade for trumpet?
No. So it's interesting. I started on clarinet in 7th grade. We didn't start band until 7th grade in Idaho, where I went to school. So started on clarinet, and my 8th grade year, coming into my 8th grade year, I really wanted to be in the jazz band. And so my mom bought me this trashy trumpet, just a really cheap trumpet. And I practiced over the summer between 7th and 8th grade, took some private lessons, and made it into the middle school jazz band, playing 3rd trumpet. because they wouldn't accept clarinets in the jazz band. Nowadays, they're middle level music programs. They'll let clarinetists into the jazz band and play.
Okay.
That wasn't the case at that point. So I played the trumpet, and I played clarinet in the regular band during the day, and then jazz band I played trumpet. And then my 9th grade year, by the time my freshman year came, I switched over to all trumpet, and from that point, that was the trajectory, I guess, of things. So.
You ever go back, play the clarinet?
No.
No.
My brother's a phenomenal clarinetist. My brother Danny, he's great clarinetist.
You're all musicians, aren't you? All your bros?
Yeah. The four boys in our family, and we all play. We're all, I guess, musicians.
So was this a family thing? Were your parents musicians?
Neither of our parents.
How come you all became?
No idea. Just took a liking to it, and it's interesting how it happened, but just became interested, and then getting in band, getting in jazz band.
You ever try to one up the others?
No. We each have our individual.
Not competitive.
No.
All right.
No, I wouldn't say so. We've all kind of found our own little nuance in how we, I don't know, even our musical interests, they're similar, but we all have, for instance, my brother Tommy, he's a drummer, and, he, from the time he was a little guy, he'd be banging on pots and pans, and starts out with a little toy drum set, and then by the time he was in middle school, he was playing a punk band as well. He could really lay it down, and then also playing in the college jazz band, but when he was in high school, that's pretty cool. So skipping around a little bit, then Phil plays guitar, does some, guitar and vocals, and then Danny is a clarinetist and keyboardist and composer. So,
are you all in Bismarck?
Just two of us,
Okay.
Phil and I.
All right.
Yep. Danny and Tom, they live in Boise.
Okay.
Yeah. And Tommy used to be in Bismarck. We had that
that's
group,
what I thought.
Fat Dad, for a while there.
He was in that too.
Yeah, Tommy
Oh,
joined
yeah.
in Fat
Okay.
Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right, tell me about moving.
Yeah, coming out to Bismarck was I started out at a junior college in Twin Falls, Idaho, and was studying classical and jazz trumpet. That experience was so cool. I had a mentor, Jim Mayer, who was the professor at that school. Really was a mentor to me, and he hooked me up with the University of Mary. So I transferred out as a junior to the University of Mary and finished out my degree there. Yeah, so that was the year 2000. And at that same year, that spring, my first son was born. Justice was born that spring. And so we moved out.
How old were you?
I was 21.
Wow, young dad.
Yep.
I was 20.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So young dad.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we moved out here, and then thought maybe it would be kind of a temporary thing, coming out to Bismarck, get through school, and
Sure.
because all of our family was at that point out in Idaho, but then we just kind of locked it in here, and then after I graduated from Mary, I started teaching at Simley, and then that's been now 22 years. So I've been teaching at Simley for 22 years.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
You obviously like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I do like it. It's
Nice.
cool.
I've worked with at-risk junior high kids before. It's tough.
Yep.
I think middle school kids are, how do I put it, the worst. I mean, when it comes to elementary kids, seem so
Compliant.
Compliant.
Or like procedural almost. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then middle school seems like a shit show. High school, they're kind of, okay, getting a head on their shoulders a little bit, straightening up. But that middle part, I applaud anybody who's got patience.
Yeah, it's been, that age is an impressionable age, and where they're pushing boundaries, of course, which is natural.
Yes.
That right? We all did, and
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I really feel like it's fun to work with kids at that age because they are pushing those boundaries, and so you can help give them like some space to like be kids, but then also like show them how cool it is to like, you know, to like make a difference for someone else, you know, and some of those bigger picture things where they because they are at that age starting to like, you know, kind of find who they're becoming, and so that it's a really powerful, you know, especially like working in music, and there's so many of these like soft skills and like even like the social emotional piece. You know, music really is such a vehicle to help, you know, give an environment to help these kids be themselves, but work in a community and feel value. I mean, I think that's what I hope to accomplish with those kids.
I assume you have. Years later, I mean, after 22 years, there's got to be points where you're seeing former students performing out in the wild.
Yeah.
Or maybe have you been invited to a show? Like, you taught me this. You got to see me now.
Yeah, you know, that's always really fun to see. That's one of the most rewarding things about education is seeing those former students into their adult lives and doing things, you know, and even outside of music, obviously it's like, but yeah, those that really take to music, you know, I've got a former student who's in like Nashville and, you know, for instance, right. And then there's just people that have really gone into the music profession. But it's also cool where, you know, you the people that are successful in many other ways that they can look back at those times that we had in the classroom and it's a connection, you know. So that's always just really fun to see those former students out now, you know, having their own kids.
Oh,
and you know, it's like that kind of thing. I've got a couple kids at school who I had their parent in class. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like makes me feel like, am I that old? I mean, it's like, but you know, it's
at
like,
some point it's gonna be grandparent.
Yeah,
you know.
I know.
I taught your granddad.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, it is. It's just.
How did you meet other people in town after you moved here?
First of all, from the kids out of Mary, like the students out at U of Mary. There was a strong music department at that time. And so, yeah, that was a cool, I guess, network right away. Right. You know, I'm trying to think of the name of what was the name of that cafe when I first moved to town?
Green Earth Cafe?
Green Earth Cafe.
Hell yeah.
That would have been the first experience. Like when I moved here, that was like one of the first venues or whatever that was hosting live music, and I you know stepped in there and it was like, this is the kind of scene that it's cool.
The place was amazing.
Yeah,
not a good venue per se.
Yeah,
but there were a lot of shows there. A lot of touring acts were coming through.
Yeah, okay.
Brian Palachek, I think it was doing a lot of booking, getting a lot of Seattle, Portland bands through. And that was actually one of my first experiences.
Nice.
When I moved here too.
Cool.
That was a hub for a while.
Yep. And then, you know, so that was my initial first place. And then there was a Fiesta Via would have music. And we played with our group Fat Dad. We played at Joker's, which is a little place in Mandan.
Right. And this is really a focal point for the music scene too for a while. Before it was Midtowner. Yeah. That's when I saw some of my first amazing punk bands live. Yeah. Then that place shut down, reopened as Stadthaus. We had amazing shows there. That shut down, reopened as another wedding venue, Starlight.
Okay.
We did shows there, then they shut down, reopened as Jokers,
Okay.
and then
Gotcha.
you pop around. How did you form the band?
Gosh, yeah, so the first version of Fat Dad was it was always Pat Phillips and myself. Like we were kind of the first. We got together and started playing music, and we started getting other musicians on board. My wife at the time, Sarah, she was a part of that group too. So, and then us, and then Brad Stockert played drums initially. Adam Roberts played bass, and then that kind of evolved into Tommy moving to Bismarck, playing drums, and then Brandon Clayson hopped in on the bass, and that was really the group that we played a whole bunch with. Would have been that group with Tommy, Clayson, Pat Phillips, Sarah, myself, that 5-piece.
Who came up with the name Fat Dad?
Gosh, I guess I did. It just sounded funny more than anything because I was a dad and I was just like,
Fat?
Just fat dad. I don't know.
I like it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does roll off.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a really fun time, and a good buddy of ours, Todd Sattler, recorded just about every live show we played around here. So he's archived so many shows. I don't even know how many, but that was really neat, and we loved playing live. Shows, just the improvisational aspect and just kind of feeding off the energy in the room and things. That's what we really love to do, is explore musically and kind of creatively in that music.
You guys were very palatable too. You could play anywhere. And you did. I saw you guys at restaurants and music venues.
Yeah.
I think the college.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, because we could play acoustically. I mean, we could play some jazz standards or play. We wrote quite a bit of music. We did record an album.
I got that too.
Makoche. Yeah, cool.
Just the one?
Just the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you record that at?
At Makoche.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. You guys were making a few bucks then to record.
Well, I don't know how did that work out. I don't know how we paid.
I know, we're dipping back into years.
we paid for it somehow. I don't know if I don't even really remember how we did that. I think we just chipped in gigs we played and just I think Dave Swenson working with us at the time gave us a nice payment plan, so to speak, where we could just kind of chip away at it. It was really nice. It was really helpful, and that was a fun experience. We recorded live, essentially in the studio. We did vocals afterwards, but we recorded everything. We tracked everything live initially, and so it had that feeling of kind of that spontaneity of some of the sections in the music where we had never played them that way before.
Yeah.
So
did you guys ever go on tour?
we did a couple little runs. We went down to South Dakota, played a little loop that took us into South Dakota, played Grand Forks, Fargo, but we never really did an extended tour or anything. I think we were out only for 3 or 4 days when we did that.
I kind of prefer those.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. I've never done any sort of touring, you know.
Are you a camper?
Yeah, I like camping.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got a canoe, kayak?
Got a couple kayaks. Yeah.
Nice. We're doing a kayak canoe trip from Washburn to Bismarck
Nice.
in a month.
In a month, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
August 1st weekend.
Yep.
If you want to jump on that.
Gosh, that sounds fun. I know for one, I'm playing in a tennis tournament that weekend.
Ah, bollocks.
That's awesome. I've done the tail race down to Cross Ranch. That was a good run. My son and I, my oldest son and I, did that.
How old's your kid now?
He's 25.
Yeah.
3 kids of his own.
No way.
Yep.
So you're a grandpa?
I'm a grandpa.
Oh, You got to start a band now called Fat Gramps.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is so incredible. So he's got 2 boys and a little girl that was just born 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And so it's Whitney, Remington, and Maisie.
Oh,
It's
cool.
a little girl. So
Good names.
yeah,
Or are they spelled really weird?
not spelled really well.
Okay.
Maisie is spelled Maisie. So
That's okay.
that's yeah.
I'll allow it.
Allow it, yeah. Phil and I, we've been doing a lot of work with just as the McMahon Brothers, and that's been a really, really cool deal. Played quite a bit, that as a duo, it's nice just, doing like little private, little backyard parties and gatherings and things. So that's been cool. And then we also been playing with, like when we get the full group together, we got Pat Phillips again and Brandon Clayson and Matt Weaver's been playing drums with us. So it's just been really cool to have that 5-piece.
Right on.
And that's really been cool. And then a couple years ago, we did a recording project at Makoche with Peace Garden Collective, which is a side project that I'm working on. Yeah, so the Peace Garden Collective is basically I'm writing the music, and then so it's Pat and Brandon and Weaver, and Phil's in on some of that stuff too. But it's just original music. I got a self-titled EP on Spotify.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Peace Garden Collective. Well, it's called Peace Garden. So yeah, that's been the latest musical endeavors, and yeah.
What's coming up? Anything in the future?
Like as far as
Concerts or
yep, we're doing
new project?
Yeah, I definitely have like a bunch more music that I want to get recorded that's just been kind of sitting there. So I'm excited to see where I can go, but it's hard to pay for a studio, pay for an album.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to just keep writing and keep creating. But yeah, Phil and I are gonna be doing a bunch more McMahon Bros stuff. And the Peace Garden Collective thing, we'll try to get a gig or 2 here or there, too. And just don't really have anything booked right this minute though.
Have you ever recorded yourself?
I just got a MacBook and Logic Pro, and so I'm really new at it. I don't have the skills right now to
Sure.
because what I'm finding is like I'll have like a musical idea, but then I've got that being an engineer, versus playing the music and doing the music aspect of things. It just haven't gotten over that learning curve, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
How about an album? Record, vinyl. Ever done that?
Never.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have a 7-inch. Sorry,
Oh, yeah?
somebody else did it for us.
Awesome.
When I was in Pink Slips. But with the Vexed, I've always wanted to do a full record.
Yeah, that would be
Pricey,
really cool. Yeah.
but they seem to sell these days a little more than, even 5 years ago.
Yeah, so that's like that it makes me I've got an idea of an album, calling it Lullabies and Love Songs. I just have a bunch of songs that I just need to get documented.
Yes.
And so that's the thing is like they're sitting there, and I play them,
Mm-hmm.
but I just I want to record.
You gotta.
I
Like I
need
was
to.
saying with my first band, how we never recorded.
Yeah.
Even the Vexed, after we quit playing together, we had a whole nother album worth of songs that we never recorded.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's getting a bit too far where I'm worried we'll never get back together. And all of that stuff we wrote isn't going to be documented. I don't know. It just bothers me
Right.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's because it's an important piece of who you are. It's like
Yes.
it's your voice, and it's like at that time, any of those songs, it was like it's like a moment, and that I really believe that as your person's kind of a conduit, and that when those songs come to you, it's like you it's like you got to write it down, you got to get it down And
Have you ever cringed at listening to some of your old stuff?
yeah, I definitely feel like, you learn through the process of like things like where you're like, oh man, this could have done that better, and having
Right,
recorded a couple of
yes.
times, having recorded a couple of times, yeah, you've learned from that experience or have learned from that, and now how can we keep refining and even just clarity of your vocals and just how you articulate
Yes.
certain things, right? And it's like you don't think of that of the importance of that until you listen back and go, oh man,
Sometimes, I guess back in the day, I could do a sloppy job of recording and say, okay, put that on tape. We're going to listen to it in the car on the way home. And hell yeah, we're jamming out to ourselves, you know,
Yep.
and loving it. And we're like, okay, this is what the people want. Get it out there. Let's do it.
Yep.
Years later, I found myself not being able to listen to that for a really long time and just kind of cringing back at it. I went on a road trip a couple months ago and I had some old music on my phone and I thought, well, let me revisit this, put it back on and listen to it. And damn, it hits different now. I'm like, this is a banger. I love this stuff. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've
That's
gone
really
through
cool.
like different moments of hating it and now loving it again.
Yeah. And you accept it for what it was, and that was that moment, and now it's but I think it's giving it some space and then listening to it again.
Right.
You might gain a new appreciation.
Yep. And then in a couple of years, I might hear it again and hate it.
Yeah.
Come back all the way around again.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing these days? Or have been? I see you about once a year, it seems. And when we're out shopping.
Yep.
You'll be picking up some Bayer for your back
Yeah.
or a hemorrhoid cream or something.
Right,
and
right.
I'm like, all right, hey,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I stay busy, especially during the school year with teaching, and then I coach 2 seasons of tennis and in the spring and in the fall. So I really enjoy that. Playing some music. Now being a grandpa is pretty cool.
Babysitting a lot?
Trying to get out there as much as we can. They live in Bozeman, so
Okay.
yeah.
That's a drive.
Yep. It's a little ways out, but yeah, and then just enjoying, like, I don't know, trying to each day just trying to find a little space for myself, and in the mornings I just appreciate my time in the morning, get the dog out and do some stretching and just have a slow start to a day. Is
you need
something
that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Gosh. So I've been exercising a lot the last few years.
Yeah.
I find I get very mentally sluggish when I don't. It's amazing what trying to take care of my health a little bit more recently
Yep.
has done wonders for my mental health too.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I think a person gets to another stage in their life where I've spent so much time like raising my own kids, and you're just in like the survival mode, and then now I think it's you can kind of look back within and really try to focus on taking care of myself,
Right.
too, and how that just opens up the kind of just a little more clarity in things, and so I do have some ideas of some endeavors. I've got even saying this now, it's like I've got this idea of calling this it's kind of a vision, or like I don't even know how to explain this other than, so it's called Voices One, and it would be like getting people together to connect through music. And so one of the things I want to do is have get a bunch of music friends together and do like a 3-hour session, and we all sing together. Like we all just learn a song and just all sing, and we just have that community and that connection piece.
Yeah.
Is something that I really want to do. I want to do some community drumming under that Voices One entity. I want to do some collaborative concerts and interactive performances where, you know, like especially with like that Peace Garden Collective group, is to play in a setting where instead of just like it being a show where you just play your music and people listen and whatever, right. It's like you play something or you talk more about the music and the process, and then just open it up for people to ask questions or to
cool.
to just make it more interactive.
Yes.
So and that's something that I really want to do, and you know, again, it's like the connection piece. I think music just has that thing that just breaks down any walls, I guess, you know, and then working through in like, so with community drumming, that's something that I actually do through the schools, as well as I work with as we call it, a regulation through drumming, and, you know, use a drum circle to give people a chance to like be in that community, learn how to work in a circle setting. We do some sharing out, and it's just a way of building that trust, and where people can open up about things, have that safe space, I guess.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Sounds like you need the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I don't have a space. I mean, other than, like at the school that I teach at, you know, I can use that space, but yeah, like with this, I'm in the primitive stages of how that can logistically work. I've got such a brain, like a just a slew of ideas written down, and then now it's just a matter of how can I put this in, get this into motion. Mm-hmm. You know, and so.
And the first part is saying it out loud,
yeah,
and throwing it out on the airwaves.
Yep.
So now it has to happen.
It does. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. And if you don't do it, everyone's going to think you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll just have to see what the first thing I need to do is just set up a session, you know, and what do I call it, right? It's like, do I call it a day choir? Do I call it like, what would you call it? It's
not
like
a day choir.
No, not a day choir.
I don't know though.
No, so what would you call it if you get a bunch of friends together,
right? And
we're gonna sing.
Yeah. A circle jerk. Any advice for, I guess, somebody who wants to get into music or start a new instrument? How would they figure that out for themselves?
Yeah. So, for instance, like as I play a little bit of guitar, just get a guitar, learn some chords. You don't need to, you know, go anywhere with it other than your own home, and just you know, start spending some time with the instrument. And, you know, obviously the internet is a vast resource of information where you can learn to play an instrument, you know, and so, but then it's just spending time with it, and it's the patience that's required to, you know, because it's not as easy as you want it to be, right?
Right.
Like there's like that, and you kind of go through those little ebbs and flows of your own success, and if it's when things get hard,
you're like,
I
quit,
sucked, right? Yeah. So you have to be really, I think a person has to be really patient with themselves, and then, you know, finding that voice in it, and if it's a creative outlet, it is what it just let it be what it is, and there's no pressure in that, and find what feels right, or, you know, it's like if it's just that expression, and I think that is the beauty of it is a person can just get lost in the music, or just creating something that's just yours, and I think that's a beautiful thing about
that is well put, man.
Yeah,
thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
thanks
for
story.
having me.
Yeah, let's hang out again. It's been a while instead of these once a year in the medical section at a grocery store.
Right. I know. It's really good to see you, and I'm honored that you would have me on.
Oh yeah, you were actually one of the first people I've talked to before I started doing this.
I remember that vividly, and I've thought about it since then. You know, until you've reached out most recently, I've been like, man, I just think that's such a cool concept, and I'm really appreciative that you thought of me.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, dude.